James Clear's most controversial advice? Forget about goals. Focus on systems. It sounds revolutionary. 15 million people bought the book because of it. But Edwin Locke and Gary Latham spent 35 years studying goal setting. 400 studies, 40,000 participants. Their conclusion: specific, difficult goals dramatically improve performance. The effect size is massive. So who's right? The best-selling author or 35 years of research? I tested every major claim in Atomic Habits against peer-reviewed science. The answers surprised me. 83% of the book is bulletproof. But that forget goals advice? The science says it's more nuanced than Clear admits. Here's what Atomic Habits gets right and what needs adjustment. Atomic Habits by James Clear has sold over 15 million copies. It's one of the most recommended books in the self-improvement space, and Clear built an empire around the idea that tiny changes compound into remarkable results. Clear's core promise is simple. Focus on getting 1% better every day, build identity-based habits, and forget about goals. He argues that if you fix your systems, the results take care of themselves. But does the science actually support these claims? I analyzed every major claim against peer-reviewed research from institutions like Stanford, UCL, and the British Journal of Health Psychology. Here's what I found. 67% of his claims are fully validated by science, and 33% need some nuance. But nothing in this book is flat out wrong. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which techniques are scientifically bulletproof, which ones need adjustment, and you'll walk away with a 30-day action plan based purely on what the evidence actually supports. Let's start with Clear's strongest claim. Topic 1. Implementation intentions. What the book says. Clear's most powerful technique is what he calls implementation intentions. The idea is simple. Instead of saying, "I want to exercise more," you write down exactly when, where, and how you'll do it. I will exercise at 7 a.m. in my home gym before breakfast. Clear argues this removes the need for motivation. When the moment arrives, you don't have to think, you just act. The decision was made in advance. He claims this technique can dramatically increase your success rate at building any habit. Not a small increase, a dramatic one. It sounds almost too simple to work. Writing down when and where you'll do something. That's the secret. But here's the thing, this is actually one of the most researched techniques in behavioral psychology. What science says. The original research comes from Dr. Peter Gallwitzer at New York University, who has studied implementation intentions since the 1990s. But the study Clear references, and the one with the most striking results, comes from the British Journal of Health Psychology in 2002. Researchers Sarah Milne, Sheena Orbell, and Pascal Sheeran divided 248 participants into 3 groups. The first group was asked to track their exercise. The second received motivational information about heart disease and exercise benefits. The third group got the same information plus 1 additional instruction. Write down exactly when, where, and how you'll exercise this week. The results? 91% of the third group exercised at least once per week. The motivation-only group? Just 35%. The control group, 38%. That's not a marginal difference. That's a 2.6 times improvement from one simple writing exercise. A meta-analysis by Gallwitzer and Sheeran in 2006, covering 94 studies and over 8,000 participants, confirmed the effect. Implementation intentions have a medium to large effect size of 0.65 across dozens of different behaviors. Verdict: validated. This is as close to bulletproof as behavioral science gets. Implementation intentions work and the effect size is substantial. Clear got this one completely right. The mechanism is straightforward. You're essentially programming your brain in advance. When the situational cue occurs, 7 a.m., home gym, your brain recognizes the trigger and initiates the behavior automatically. You've reduced the cognitive load required to start. Here's how to apply this today. Take your most important habit and write this sentence. I will behavior at time and location. Be specific, not I'll read more, but I'll read for 20 minutes at 9 p.m. in my bedroom chair. Research shows the more specific you are, the stronger the effect. Vague intentions produce vague results. This technique alone is worth the price of the book. Topic 2. The 66-Day Truth. What the book says. You've probably heard that it takes 21 days to form a habit. It's one of the most repeated claims in self-improvement. Fitness influencers say it. Therapists repeat it. It's become accepted wisdom. Clear challenges this directly. He argues that 21 days is a myth, and the real research shows it takes much longer, an average of 66 days. He cites a study from University College London and uses this to set more realistic expectations. Stop expecting habits to feel automatic after 3 weeks, he says. You need at least 2 months. But here's where it gets interesting. The 21-day myth has such a specific origin that it's worth understanding where it came from and why it's completely wrong. What science says. The 21-day myth comes from a plastic surgeon named Maxwell Maltz, who published a book called Psycho-Cybernetics in 1960. Maltz noticed that his patients took about 21 days to get used to their new noses or adjusted limbs. That's not neuroscience, that's cosmetic surgery recovery. But somehow this observation got repeated so many times that it became scientific fact. The actual research comes from Dr. Philippa Lally and colleagues at University College London in 2009. They tracked 96 participants trying to build new habits, like eating fruit at lunch or running before dinner. Here's what they found. The average time for a behavior to become automatic was 66 days. But, and this is crucial, the range was enormous. Some habits became automatic in just 18 days. Others took 254 days. The variation depended on the complexity of the habit and the individual. Drinking a glass of water after breakfast. Quick, doing 50 sit-ups every morning, much longer. Another key finding, missing 1 day didn't significantly impact habit formation. The don't break the chain mentality is psychologically useful, but one slip doesn't reset your progress to zero. Verdict, validated. Clear is right to bust the 21-day myth, and his 66-day average is accurately cited from the research. This is solid science. The practical implication is important. If you expect habits to feel automatic after 3 weeks and they don't, you might quit thinking something is wrong with you. The research says you're probably not even halfway there. Here's how to apply this. Plan for 66 days minimum, but understand that simpler habits form faster. Start with easy wins, habits that take less than 2 minutes, and let them become automatic before stacking more complex behaviors. And if you miss a day, research shows it doesn't matter much. What destroys habits isn't one missed day, it's the shame spiral that follows. Miss 1, never miss 2. That's the rule that actually works. The 21-day myth has probably caused more people to quit their habits prematurely than almost any other piece of bad advice. Clear deserves credit for correcting the record. Topic 3. The 1% compound effect. What the book says. Clear opens Atomic Habits with one of the most compelling ideas in the book, the power of 1% improvements. His math is seductive. If you get 1% better every day for a year, you'll end up 37 times better by the end. He shows the formula. 1.01 to the power of 365 equals 37.78. The flip side is equally powerful. Get 1% worse every day, and you'll decline to nearly zero. 0.99 to the power of 365 equals 0.03. Clear uses the British cycling team as proof. They won 1 Olympic gold medal in 100 years. Then Dave Brailsford took over and improved everything by 1%. Better pillows, better hand hygiene, better tire grip. 5 years later, they won 60% of all Olympic cycling gold medals. It's an inspiring story. It makes you believe that tiny changes can produce extraordinary results. And Clear builds his entire philosophy around this idea. But there's a problem. What science says. The math is correct. Compound growth is real. If you actually improved by 1% every single day, you would see exponential results. But here's what the research shows. Human performance doesn't work this way. Dr. Anders Ericsson at Florida State University, the researcher behind the 10,000 hours concept, spent decades studying skill acquisition. His research shows that improvement follows a logarithmic curve, not an exponential one. You improve quickly at first, then gain slow dramatically as you approach your limits. A 2018 meta-analysis in Psychological Bulletin examined skill development across multiple domains. The pattern was consistent. Rapid early improvement followed by diminishing returns, not compound growth. There's another problem. How do you measure 1% improvement in most skills? You can measure weightlifting gains precisely, but 1% better at writing, 1% better at leadership, 1% better at parenting, these aren't quantifiable in any meaningful way. The British cycling story is also more complicated than clear presence. Brailsford's team had access to massive funding, world-class facilities, and innovations in equipment technology. The 1% improvements narrative is compelling, but it wasn't the only factor or even necessarily the main one. Verdict: partially validated. The core principle is valid. Small improvements do compound over time. Consistency matters more than intensity. These ideas are supported by research, but the specific framing, 1% daily, 37 times yearly, is more metaphor than science. It's motivational math, not performance research. And it can actually backfire if you expect linear progress and get frustrated when improvement slows down. Here's how to actually apply this. Focus on consistency, not measurement. Don't try to calculate 1% improvements. You can't. Instead, ask yourself a simpler question. Did I show up today? Did I do the work? The British cycling insight is real but misunderstood. It wasn't about 1% math. It was about systematic attention to details that competitors ignored. Look for the overlooked factors in your own performance: sleep quality, recovery time, environment design. These marginal gains are real. Just don't expect them to multiply by 37. Think of 1% as a philosophy, not a formula. That's how it actually works. Topic 4. Systems versus goals. What the book says. This is Clear's most provocative claim, and the one that made him famous. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. He argues that goals are essentially useless. Winners and losers have the same goals. Every Olympic athlete wants gold. Every startup founder wants success. The goal doesn't differentiate them, the system does. Clear goes further. He says goals create a yo-yo effect. You work hard, achieve the goal, then relax and slide backward. But if you focus on the system, the daily habits, you maintain progress indefinitely. His advice is direct. Forget about goals. Build systems instead. It's a compelling reframe. It feels liberating. No more pressure to hit arbitrary targets. Just show up and trust the process. But here's the problem. 35 years of research says he's wrong. What science says. Edwin Locke and Gary Latham are the world's leading researchers on goal setting. Starting in the 1960s, they conducted over 400 studies with more than 40,000 participants across industries ranging from logging to software engineering. Their conclusion is unambiguous. Specific, difficult goals dramatically improve performance compared to vague goals or no goals at all. The effect size is large and has been replicated hundreds of times. A 1981 meta-analysis published in Psychological Bulletin, one of the most cited papers in organizational psychology, found that specific hard goals produced higher performance than do your best instructions in 90% of studies. This isn't controversial in academia. Goal-setting theory is considered one of the most validated frameworks in behavioral science. Now, does this mean CLEAR is completely wrong? Not exactly. The research also shows that goals work best when paired with implementation strategies, essentially systems. A 2006 study by Kushner and colleagues found that goals combined with implementation plans were significantly more effective than goals alone. So it's not goals versus systems, it's goals plus systems. Verdict: partially validated. CLEAR is right that systems matter. He's right that goals without systems often fail. He's right that daily habits are the engine of long-term change. But forget about goals contradicts decades of robust research. Specific, challenging goals provide direction, motivation, and a benchmark for progress. Removing them entirely can lead to drift. The science supports a both-and approach, not either-or. Here's how to actually apply this. Set a specific, measurable goal. Not vague like get healthy, but precise like lose 10 pounds by March. Then immediately shift your focus to the system that will get you there. What daily habits support this goal? What's your implementation intention? Use the goal for direction. Use the system for traction. CLEAR's insight about systems is valuable, but his rejection of goals goes too far. The research is clear. You need both. Think of goals as the destination on your GPS. Systems are the engine that moves the car. You wouldn't drive without knowing where you're going. And you can't arrive without a working engine. Don't choose between them. Use them together. Topic 5. Identity-based habits. What the book says. CLEAR argues that most people approach habits backwards. They focus on outcomes, losing weight, writing a book, making money. But lasting change, he says, comes from identity. Instead of saying, I want to quit smoking, say, I'm not a smoker. Instead of, I want to run a marathon, say, I'm a runner. The shift is subtle but profound. Outcome-based habits are about what you want to achieve. Identity-based habits are about who you want to become. CLEAR's argument is psychological. When your behavior aligns with your self-image, it doesn't feel like effort. You're not forcing yourself to do something against your nature. You're simply acting in accordance with who you are. Every action becomes a vote for the type of person you want to be. Go to the gym once? That's a vote for being an athlete. Write one paragraph? That's a vote for being a writer. Stack enough votes and the identity becomes self-reinforcing. It sounds almost too philosophical to be scientific, but this is actually where CLEAR stumbles onto one of psychology's most validated theories. What science says. What CLEAR describes aligns remarkably well with self-determination theory, developed by Edward Deci and Richard Ryan at the University of Rochester, starting in the 1970s. Their research shows that motivation exists on a spectrum. At one end is external motivation. You do something for rewards or to avoid punishment. At the other end is integrated motivation. You do something because it aligns with your core sense of self. Integrated motivation is the most sustainable. When a behavior becomes part of your identity, it no longer requires willpower. It becomes autonomous. A 2012 meta-analysis covering 184 studies confirmed that autonomous motivation connected to identity and personal values, predicts better performance, greater persistence, and higher well-being across virtually every domain studied. Research on smoking cessation is particularly compelling. A 2010 study in the journal Addiction found that smokers who saw themselves as non-smokers rather than people trying to quit had significantly higher success rates. The identity shift preceded and predicted the behavioral change. Similar findings appear in exercise research. People who identify as exercisers maintain habits more consistently than those who simply want to exercise. The mechanism is straightforward. Identity reduces cognitive load. When something is part of who you are, you don't debate whether to do it. The decision is already made. Verdict: validated. Clear nails this one. Identity-based change is supported by decades of research in motivation science. It's not just philosophical, it's one of the most robust findings in psychology. The practical implication is powerful. Start with identity. Before building the habit, decide who you want to become. Then ask yourself, what would that person do? Here's how to apply this. Write down the identity you want to embody. Not, I want to be fit, but I am someone who moves every day. Not, I want to read more, but I am a reader. Then use every small action as evidence. Each repetition is a vote for that identity. You don't have to be perfect, you just need more votes for your desired identity than against it. Clear suggests a powerful reframe for moments of temptation. Instead of I can't, say I don't. I can't eat sugar implies restriction. I don't eat sugar implies identity. Research by Vanessa Patrick at the University of Houston confirms this. I don't is significantly more effective at resisting temptation than I can't. The words you use about yourself shape the person you become. Clear understood this, and the science backs him up completely. Topic 6. The 4 Laws Framework. What the book says. Clear organizes his entire habit-building system around 4 laws. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. Each law corresponds to a stage of what he calls the habit loop. The cue triggers the behavior. The craving provides motivation. The response is the habit itself. The reward reinforces it. Want to build a good habit? Apply all 4 laws. Want to break a bad habit? Invert them. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Clear provides dozens of practical tactics for each law. Design your environment so healthy choices are visible. Pair habits you need to do with habits you want to do. Reduce friction for good behaviors. Create immediate rewards for actions with delayed benefits. It's an elegant framework, easy to remember, easy to apply. But is it actually based on science, or is it just clever packaging? What science says. Here's where Clear deserves significant credit. The 4 Laws Framework is a genuinely useful synthesis of decades of behavioral research. The foundation comes from B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning research from the 1930s onwards. Skinner demonstrated that behaviors followed by rewards are more likely to be repeated. This is the basis for Make It Satisfying. Charles Duhigg popularized the habit loop, cue, routine, reward, in The Power of Habit, drawing on research from MIT neuroscientists studying the basal ganglia. Clear's framework builds directly on this. B.J. Fogg at Stanford developed the behavior model, which shows that behavior occurs when motivation, ability, and a prompt converge. Make It Easy directly reflects Fogg's research on reducing friction. His studies show that even tiny reductions in effort dramatically increase behavior adoption. The environment design component, Make It Obvious, is supported by extensive research on choice architecture. Brian Wansink's work at Cornell, before his later controversies, showed that visibility and proximity significantly influence food choices. People eat more when food is visible and within reach. A 2018 study in the Journal of Consumer Psychology confirmed that environmental cues often override conscious intentions. You don't need more willpower, you need better defaults. The temptation bundling technique. Clear recommends pairing something you need to do with something you want to do was validated by Catherine Milkman at Wharton. Her research showed it significantly increased gym attendance. Verdict: validated. The 4 Laws framework isn't original research. Clear is the first to admit he's synthesizing existing science. But the synthesis is accurate, practical, and well supported. Each law has a substantial research base. Together they provide a comprehensive system for behavior change that aligns with what behavioral scientists have been saying for decades. Here's how to apply this systematically for any habit you want to build. Run through all 4 laws. First, make it obvious. Where will you do this habit? What's the cue? Use implementation intentions. After I pour my morning coffee, I will write for 10 minutes. Second, make it attractive. Pair it with something you enjoy. Listen to your favorite podcast only while exercising. This is temptation bundling. Third, make it easy. Reduce friction to under 2 minutes for the starting ritual. Fourth, make it satisfying. Create immediate rewards. Track your habit and enjoy the satisfaction of checking the box. The immediate pleasure reinforces the long-term behavior. To break a bad habit, invert each law. Hide the cues. Make it unattractive by reframing. Increase friction. Even small barriers work. Remove the rewards. Clear's genius isn't in discovering new science. It's in making existing science usable, and that has tremendous value. Validation score recap. So let's step back and look at the full picture. I tested 6 of James Clear's core claims against peer-reviewed research. The final score? 83% scientifically supported. 4 claims fully validated, 2 claims partially validated. Nothing outright wrong. Here's the breakdown. Fully validated, 4 claims, 67% of the book. Implementation intentions. The 91% success rate is real. Writing down when, where, and how you'll perform a habit dramatically increases follow-through. This is one of the most replicated findings in behavioral psychology. The 66-day truth. Clear correctly debunks the 21-day myth. The research shows habit formation takes 18 to 254 days, with 66 as the average. This sets realistic expectations and prevents premature quitting. Identity-based habits. Self-determination. Theory confirms that behaviors aligned with identity are more sustainable. I am a runner beats I want to run every time. The research is robust. The 4 Laws framework. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. This is an accurate synthesis of Skinner, Fogg, Duhigg, and decades of behavioral research. Not original, but genuinely useful. Partially validated. 2 claims, 33% of the book. The 1% compound effect. The math is correct. The philosophy is sound. But human performance follows logarithmic curves, not exponential ones. Think of 1% as a mindset, not a measurement. Systems versus goals. Clear is right that systems matter, but forget about goals. Oversimplifies 35 years of goal-setting research from Locke and Latham. You need both. Goals for direction, systems for traction. The bottom line, Atomic Habits has an 83% validation rate. That's exceptional for a popular self-help book. James Clear isn't a scientist, but he's an exceptional translator of science. Most of what he teaches is accurate, practical, and well supported by research. The main adjustment? Don't completely forget about goals. Use them alongside systems. That's what the evidence supports. If you apply just 3 things from this book, implementation intentions, identity-based change, and the 4 Laws framework, you'll be using some of the most validated techniques in behavioral science. That's more than most books deliver. 30-day action plan, evidence-based habits only. Everything in this plan comes from validated research. No partially validated claims, no motivational math, just techniques that have been proven to work. Week 1, foundation. Start with 1 habit, just 1. Pick the behavior that would have the biggest impact on your life right now. Write your implementation intention. I will behavior at time and location. Be specific. Research shows specificity is directly correlated with success. Then reduce it to 2 minutes. If you want to read, commit to 1 page. If you want to exercise, commit to putting on your shoes. Make it so easy you can't say no. Finally, design your environment. Put the book on your pillow. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Make the right behavior the default behavior. Week 2, identity. This week, focus on who you're becoming. Write down your new identity statement. Not, I want to exercise, but I am someone who moves every day. Not, I want to read more, but I am a reader. Every time you complete your habit, remind yourself, this is who I am now. Each repetition is a vote for your new identity. When temptation hits, use I don't instead of I can't. Research shows this simple language shift significantly improves resistance to temptation. Week 3, systems plus goals. Now add direction. Set one specific, measurable goal for the next 90 days. Not vague like get healthier, but precise like complete 50 workouts or read 6 books. But don't focus on the goal daily. Focus on the system, your daily habit. The goal tells you where you're going. The system gets you there. Track your habit visually. A simple calendar with X marks works. The research shows that tracking creates its own reward. You don't want to break the chain. Week 4, reinforcement. Stack a second habit onto your first one. Use the formula. After I, current habit, I will, new habit. This is habit stacking, and it leverages the neural pathways you've already built. Add temptation bundling. Pair something you need to do with something you want to do. Audiobooks only during commutes. Favorite podcast only during workouts. Review your progress, not to judge, to learn. What made you skip days? What made you show up? Adjust your environment and systems based on what you discover. The 30-day commitment. This plan uses only the 4 validated techniques: implementation intentions, identity-based change, environment design, and the 4 laws framework. Follow it for 30 days. You won't have an automatic habit yet. Research says that takes 66 days on average. But you'll have momentum, you'll have evidence, and you'll have a system that actually works. Conclusion. So here's my question for you. Which of these validated techniques will you implement first? Implementation intentions, writing down exactly when, where, and how. Identity-based change, deciding who you want to become before deciding what you want to achieve. Or the 4 laws, redesigning your environment so the right choice becomes the easy choice. You don't need to do everything. You don't need to be perfect. Research shows that even one of these techniques, applied consistently, can dramatically change your trajectory. James Clear wrote a book that's 83% bulletproof science. That's exceptional. Most self-help books don't come close. Take what works, leave what doesn't, and remember, you're not building habits, you're building identity. Every action is a vote for the person you're becoming. The research is clear, the tools are validated. The only question left is, what will you do with them? And speaking of building better systems, next video is going to challenge one of the most popular productivity concepts of the last decade. Cal Newport wrote Deep Work and claimed it's the superpower of the 21st century. His argument? Focused, undistracted work is becoming rare and therefore incredibly valuable. But here's where it gets interesting. One of Newport's core theories, ego depletion, completely failed to replicate. A massive study with 2,000 participants found no evidence it exists. Deep Work sold over 1 million copies. But does the science actually support Newport's claims? Some of it is bulletproof. Some of it collapsed under scrutiny. You'll want to see the final score on this one. If you want to see that video when it drops, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Every video I take a bestseller, test the claims, and show you what actually works. Drop a comment. Which technique are you implementing first? Implementation intentions, identity-based habits, environment design. I read every single one. And if this video helped you separate science from hype, share it with someone who's struggling with their habits. They deserve to know what actually works. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.